Manchester United considering deals for Jared Branthwaite and Milos Kerkez. Casemiro to Saudi takes a surprising twist, and Lenny Yoro apparently back, ready to start for Manchester United. These are some of the topics we will be discussing on this morning's show, but before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please also subscribe as well. We're just about to hit 40,000 subscribers, so go and do that right now, and let's see if we can hit it by the end of November. Oh, sorry. Right. Let's start the show off by talking about some transfer-related news then, shall we? Let's get a little bit of interaction going here. And I want you to let me know, in an ideal world, who should Manchester United sign in January and in the summer? Let me know your thoughts. And also, who should Manchester United sell? Could be a little fun activity to do. So you can get in the comment section now. You can just write a list. You can write sell and the players that you think should leave, and then buy and the players that you think should buy. I'd be interested to see what other Man United fans have to say, so go and do that right now. And whilst you're doing that as well, I want to say a happy birthday to Mazraoui, who turns 27 years old. What a signing he's been. Let me just say that for a minute. What a signing Mazraoui has been. Absolutely unbelievable. I would say he's probably been our player of the season so far. Now, obviously, we've had a terrible start to the season, so that isn't really saying much. But I think he has been one of the bright lights in what's been a miserable, first kind of 10 or so games of a season. But yeah, happy birthday to Mazraoui, 27 years of age today. I think we only paid about 12.8 million for him. Absolute bargain. And he's been absolutely, I think, incredible, amazing. So yeah, happy birthday to Mazraoui. Hopefully he can continue the form. Hopefully he can stay fit. And hopefully we turn the season round here, because although the start to the season has been awful, we're not actually that far away from the top four, you know. Arsenal, who are supposedly, should be challenging for the title now, are only 4 points ahead of us, 11 games into the season. That's not that much, is it? If we were to win our next game and Arsenal were to draw, that would only then be 2 points ahead of us. Is that right? Yeah, 2 points. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, we could easily make our way into that top four, top five. And obviously, apparently, this season, 5th place should give us Champions League football. And I know obviously you don't want to aim for 5th place, but at the end of the day, the goal is to get Champions League football, isn't it? That has to be the priority. And I think that is somewhat realistic. Although 5th place is also 19 points. So, we've got a little way to go. And obviously there are teams ahead of us like Newcastle on 18, Fulham, Brighton, etc. But the point I'm making here is obviously there's a massive gap between us and first place, 14 points. Like we're not going to win the league, obviously. And there's a big gap between second place, which is 8 points. I mean, it's still not that much, but yeah, 8 points, right? But third place at the moment are Chelsea on 19 points. That's only 4 points ahead of where we are at the moment. If we were to go on a bit of a run, beat Ipswich, I think we've got Everton coming up in a couple of weeks, win a couple of other games. Man City are losing matches. Arsenal are not doing very well. Nottingham Forest, I think, lost the game the other day. Like, we could easily break our way into that top 5. So, hopefully we can kick on from here, and hopefully we can kind of save this season, and hopefully Ruben Amorim, hopefully he can make something out of this season. But let's move on from that, though. What have we got in the chat today? Welcome all the regulars in the chat. I hope you're doing well. Welcome, Fred. I hope you're doing well, mate. I just saw your email. I just replied to it. Thank you for the message. I guess I may as well talk about it now quickly. So yeah, thank you for your email, Fred. Just to give everyone a bit of a heads up then, all the regular viewers, some of you might not care about this, but I'll just bring it into the show really, really quickly. At the moment, we are just doing one video a day at the moment. That's because I've got quite a lot going on outside of football, For example, I'm learning to drive. I'm doing a fast track driving course, which is taking I'm pretty much driving every single day because I need to pass my test in about 4 weeks' time. Lots of other things going on as well outside of kind of football. And I think, the last 2 or 3 months of the first 2 or 3 months of the season has been incredibly hard, as you can all agree with, you'd probably see me on some of those match reactions after Erik ten Hag's exit, or around Erik ten Hag's exit, when we knew that he was probably going to go. And it was like, the mood was so deflated, everybody, myself. And I just think that at the moment, doing one video a day is kind of my happy place. I like doing videos in the morning. Later on in the day, there's usually quite a lot of stuff going on. And it might have meant that I wouldn't be able to do my driving, or I wouldn't have been able to do something else that I needed to do in order to make sure I was at home to do the videos. Do you know what I mean? So at the moment, my happy place is just doing one video a day in the morning. I think I still managed to cover all of the news that's coming out. And yeah, I think at a point when we were playing terribly and everything was really miserable, it got a little bit repetitive, stuck on this really strict schedule of doing like a video in the morning, a video in the afternoon, a video in the evening, and you're kind of just going over the same thing over and over and over again. Sack the manager, don't sack the manager, sack the managers, don't sack, and it just got a little bit tiresome. So at the moment, I'm enjoying doing the one video a day. It's a little bit earlier than it was before. That's just because of I'm waking up earlier at the moment, and yeah, I know it makes it maybe a little bit difficult to follow, but at the moment the videos are always around 7:30 in the morning, right? Which was actually the original time we used to do last 2 years ago when we first started. It was always 7:30. So yeah, that's just a little bit of an explanation. I'm sure as the season progresses and my personal situation changes, I'll try and get back to doing more videos, but I'd rather do one good video a day where it's got my full kind of passion and motivation than to be doing like 3 or 4 videos a day just talking about the same thing over and over again. So that's why we're only doing one video a day at the moment. I thought I would just address that because a couple of people have asked, why are you not doing ones in the evening? Why are you not doing ones in the afternoon? So there is your answer. And I hope, I still enjoy doing this. And I think the most important thing for me is finding the middle ground of what I enjoy, so it doesn't feel like a job. Because remember, this is just a passion project. I enjoy speaking with you. I enjoy having communication with other Manchester United fans. I don't do this as a job. If this was my job, obviously I would be absolutely hammering it. And I think you'd probably see a slightly different side to me, because I'd be needing to earn money from it. Whereas at the moment, it is just a passion thing still. So yeah, one video a day. I still think that's quite a lot in the grand scheme of things. When I speak to friends or speak to family members, they still say, what, you do a video every single day? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, wow, that's, it's still quite a lot. But that's a little bit on that. Obviously, if you don't care about that, that's fine. But I thought it was important to bring it into the show. Let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. Get some comments in. Robin says, I'm loving your broadcast. Thank you very much for your support, mate. I really, really appreciate that. What else have we got here? Al says, the club has no money. Eric Ten Hag spent most of the money. Maybe we get Alvaro Fernandez in January, but I think that's all we can expect. And I think you probably are right there. I think, in the January window, I think in the January window, one signing is probably realistic, and a left back is probably that position it would be, Al says, so you're choosing to learn to drive at the time when the world is moving into automatic driving. Well, I am actually learning to drive automatic. I assume you mean the cars that drive themselves. I've seen those videos in America. I don't know if you've seen that. I assume you have. There's cars in America now which literally drive themselves. Somebody I know put a video up on their Instagram, and he was in a taxi, and it just drives itself. There was no one in the driving seat. I mean, it's absolutely mad. But I'm learning to drive automatic. Like, I think manual's being phased out, isn't it? And we've got an automatic car, me and my partner already. So right. Anyway, let's move on from that though. Let's talk about Lenny Yoro though. Let's talk about some positive news. And the news coming out from Fabrizio this morning is that, this is from Fabrizio Romano, of course, is that apparently Lenny Yoro has now reached the end of his rehabilitation. He is now ready to start playing football again. Obviously, he picked up an injury in pre-season. Devastating injury, really, for him. The 18-year-old gets a massive move to Manchester United. He played, I think, 2 halves of football in the pre-season. 2 halves of football, and then suddenly he's out until mid-November. But apparently he's back now. There's videos of him on the grass. Obviously, he didn't go off on international duty, so he will be working with Ruben Amorim at the moment in order to hopefully. I hope we see. I hope we see Lenny Yoro start against Ipswich. I know it maybe feels a little bit soon, but we need to have 3 fit centre backs. I don't know the status of Maguire. I think he might still be injured. Johnny Evans, I think, is available. Lindelof, I think, is available. Martinez, I think, is an injured, and De Ligt is available. So we should have a fair few options to pick from, Hopefully Martinez is back, but in an ideal world, you'd have Martinez, De Ligt, and Lenny Yoro, and I think that would be really, really solid. So yeah, really, really happy. Really happy that he's back. Hopefully he, lives up to the potential that we all hope. We'll wait and see what happens. But really excited about that. Right. Let's move on from that, though, and let's jump over to some transfer-related stories, because the news coming out this morning from multiple different journalists in the English media, emphasise the word English here, English media, UK, are putting out the story again that Man United want Jarrad Branthwaite. Now, this isn't being reported by Fabrizio or any of the kind of non-British media. It's literally just the British kind of tabloid media, all focusing on the story that Man United are going to go back in for Jarrad Branthwaite. And to me, this just seems like an obvious attempt that either the player is trying to get a move again, and his agent has briefed the media, the English media, to say, put out this story that Man United want to sign me. Obviously, it won't be Jarrad Branthwaite doing it himself, but it will be, his agent, his representatives, etc. But the general headline is that apparently Man United want to go back in for Jarrad Branthwaite. Now, I think Jarrad Branthwaite is a decent footballer, okay? I think he's okay, but he's not worth 60, 70 million. For me, I mean, he's probably worth 30 million, maybe. Tops. He's injured at the moment as well. He had to withdraw from the national team. So, that's not a particularly good sign, is it? Yeah, I would say around £30 million would be the absolute max for Jarrad Branthwaite for me. And I think, as soon as you start going into these 60, 70 million kind of prices, it's very questionable, especially when, we're in the position we are financially. But, you look at the season so far, right? He's missed 15 games through injury this season. 3 different injuries. He's had a groin injury, then he had to have groin surgery. I don't know if he's even played any football this season. Let me just double check. I don't think he has. He's played 276 minutes so far this season. He's only played 180 minutes in the Premier League, which is the equivalent of 2 games. So, for me, that is the biggest telltale sign. You've got this player who apparently is worth £70 million to Everton. He's been injured all season. He's just had to have groin surgery. I think personally, I would just avoid this, because we know that Everton aren't going to sell him for a reasonable amount of money. They're going to ask for the big bucks, 70, 80 million. They want the same amount of money that Man City paid for Gvardiol, or Manchester United paid for Harry Maguire, or Chelsea paid for Fofana from Leicester. That's the kind of fee we're talking about here, 70 million. For a player who's only 22 years of age, not really proven on the international circuit. He's only ever played once for England. He's been injured all season, and last season nearly got Everton relegated. It doesn't really add up to me. And the only reason why they're trying to inflate this price is because, one, obviously, he's a young left-footed centre-back that's playing in the Premier League, and he's English. That's the main reason, which I get, and he's their prized asset. They don't really have any other players, do they? Obviously, they had Amadou Onana, but he went to Aston Villa. Everton don't really have any other kind of big name players, in my opinion, and he's the main one, isn't it? If they're going to make any money, it's going to be from selling. It's going to be from selling Jarrad Branthwaite. When you look at the rest of their squad and you look at their values, their next highest valued player is Mikalenko, and then it's Jordan Pickford, and then it's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That kind of just says it all to me, doesn't it? They know that if they're going to get any money for a player, it's going to have to be for Jarrad Branthwaite. And obviously they have a stadium to pay for. So I understand it from Everton's perspective. I completely do. But I just don't think Man United should be stupid enough to enter this race again. We offered 50 million, which I thought was too much, pounds, which is 60 million euros. They said no. That should be the end of it. 50 million is too much, I think, personally. I don't think he's worth 50 million, let alone 40, let alone 30. Right. What's everyone saying in the chat this morning? If you could all do me a small favour and hit the like button, that would be really, really appreciated. Let's try and get to 500 likes on this video. And if you are watching for the first time today, make sure you subscribe. I've just dropped a link into the chat to do that. Somebody in the chat saying you should drive manual. It's easy. The problem is I have an automatic car, so I could learn to drive manual, but I have an automatic car, so it's kind of pointless, I've got an electric automatic car, so yeah, it would be completely pointless for me to learn manual, to be honest. I think I get why people learn manual. I get that it's good to learn manual. We're going back to the driving conversation, by the way. If anybody's like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But I understand why people learn manual, but obviously in my particular situation, the car I will be driving is an automatic electric car. So I don't really see the point to learn manual. And I need to learn to drive quickly. And I think learning to drive manual will take a little bit longer. So in my head, I'm like, I can learn automatic. I can pretty much drive already now, and I've only been doing lessons for like 2 weeks. I just can't parallel park yet. I can do bay parking, but I can't do parallel parking. But yeah, I mean, I can drive pretty much anywhere. Obviously, I can't go on motorways. But anyway, let's move on from that. Let's talk about Milos Kerkez. I've probably said his name wrong. I do apologise. Let's have a look what else we've got. So yeah, Milos Kerkez. More stories this morning saying that Man United are looking at Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth as the new left back. I think he's decent. I think he'd be a really, really good addition. And the thing again that I worry with this is Bournemouth are probably going to ask for big amounts of money, and Man United don't have big amounts of money. And for me personally, the most obvious option is to go for Alvaro Fernandez, because obviously we have this buyback clause. We know that he wants to come back to Manchester United. He said in a recent interview that his dream is to play for Man United again. We know that obviously Ruben Amorim will be familiar with him, having managed in the Portuguese league, where obviously Alvaro Fernandez plays for Benfica. And we know that he's doing really well for Benfica. He's playing in the Champions League. He's assisting. He's scoring. Like, he's starting every game for Benfica. And the buyback clause for Alvaro Fernandez, right, is a fraction of what we would have to pay for someone like Milos Kerkez. The buyback clause is only £16.7 million. And when you think that we received, I think it was around £7 million from Benfica to sell him in the summer, that means we'd technically be actually only giving them like 10 million, if you minus the amount we sold him for. So I don't think that's a bad deal at all. And Milos Kerkez, the kind of figures being quoted in the media today are somewhere around 30-40 million pounds, which is a hell of a lot of money, I think. Hell of a lot of money. And I think he would be a good signing, don't get me wrong, but I just think it's too much money at this point, especially when Luke Shaw's still going to be sniffing around. I think Luke Shaw's got like 3 years left on his contract, so no one's going to buy Luke Shaw. We have no option but to keep him. We can't release him from his contract. You may as well just keep him if you're going to do that, because otherwise you'd have to pay off all of his wages. So you've still got Luke Shaw sniffing around. If you go and sign someone like Milos Kerkez, who's starting every week in the Premier League for Bournemouth, he's probably going to want to start, isn't he? And if Luke Shaw comes back, he's not going to start. Whereas Alvaro Fernandez probably would be happy to be like a rotational player. So yeah, that's my take on that. But again, obviously you can let me know your thoughts on that one in the comment section below. What's the next story? The next story is about Casemiro. And the reports coming out this morning are suggesting that apparently Manchester United are going to try and sell Casemiro to Saudi. I think that would be sensible. I think Casemiro has been pretty good this season. I think obviously that Liverpool game, he was absolutely appalling, terrible. But after that, I think he has actually been one of our better players. But I still think in a Ruben Amorim style team, you need to have that intensity, you need to have that pace. And he doesn't have that, unfortunately. He has the awareness, he has the experience, he has the leadership skills, Casemiro, but he doesn't have the intensity. And unfortunately, once you reach that certain age and your legs start to go a bit, you can't train a player to be faster again. That's not how the world works, unfortunately, or how physics and aging works. You can't just suddenly be like, right, if you do these drills every day, you'll suddenly be fast again. Like it's very rare. Same with like people like Harry Kane. He's still a very good striker, but he's getting slower and slower and slower and slower, and he's not suddenly going to start getting faster. So I think for the primary purpose of Ruben Amorim needing players to play an intense style of play, like obviously Casemiro doesn't fit in that mould. And if we can sell him to Saudi, clear his wages, that would make a lot of sense. Obviously, the biggest issue for Manchester United is finding somebody who will take his wages, because the only reason he didn't leave before was because the only way he could leave was by going to Saudi, because no one else would pay his wages. I think he's on about 350,000 a week. Let me just double check that. £350,000 a week Casemiro earns. I mean, that is absolutely disgusting, isn't it? Disgusting that John Murtough, Richard Arnold and the Glazers thought 2 years ago that giving Casemiro at the age of 30, 350,000 a week was a sensible thing to do. I mean, no wonder we're in the mess we are financially. And they've also, as well, I'm just looking on the website that shows you all the contracts. Apparently there's £100,000 of potential weekly bonuses as well. So his base rate is 350 grand a week, Casemiro, and he has the option to earn another 100 grand a week as well based on bonuses. So that might be if the Man United win, if he gets an assist, if he gets a clean sheet, whatever. That's crazy. But yeah, I think if we can move him on, probably in the summer now, it's not going to be in January, then that would be the best thing for everybody. But let's have a little look what people are saying. Fred says that Luke Shaw might surprise us when he is fit in the new Amorim system. Yeah, it's possible. I like Luke Shaw, I do. I just think his injury record is absolutely appalling, you know? Yeah. Simon says if Luke Shaw comes back, I think he'll play left centre-back. That's a good point. Yeah. You could have him left centre-back, and then you could have Lenny Yoro and Martinez, or Lenny Yoro and De Ligt. Yeah, that would be interesting, actually. I like that. So maybe Luke Shaw will kind of get some time just because he can play at left-sided centre-back, and obviously we will need more centre-backs. That's a good point. I hadn't really considered that. I like that. Sep Team Alliance says, where do you check the wages? If you go on a website called Capology, CAPology.com, it's got all of, you can type in any player and it'll give you all of the details. It's quite an interesting website. So yeah, you can go and do that. And interestingly enough, right, you can see like a chart and it shows you from the beginning of Casemiro's career, like his wage goes up and up and up and up and up, right? And then at Real Madrid, it kind of stagnated and actually started going down. And then you see the move to Manchester United. So the chart kind of looks like this, right? Real Madrid. He's at Real Madrid. And then his wages actually started to go down at Real Madrid. And I think that was partly why he wanted to leave, because he wanted more money. So his contract started to go down at Real Madrid. And then suddenly he moves to Manchester United, right? In his last season at Real Madrid, he earned around 9 million in a season. And then he comes to Manchester United and he earns 18 million. So they doubled his salary to come to Manchester United. I mean, it's just mental, isn't it? But I'm going to wrap the video up here. It feels like a good time to end today's show. I hope everyone has enjoyed it. Please make sure to drop a like before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Some really good chat has been had this morning. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Bye for now.